Here we are at La Ferme in the rural parish of St Martin in Jersey. It is mid to late April as I speak, and the cows have just been led out into the fields for the first time. It's been a long and cold winter, certainly in Jersey terms. We've even had snow once or twice, which is very unusual for the island. Then the last couple of days there's been a complete change in the weather, and as you can see I'm sitting comfortably outside just wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and the temperature is now 24 degrees, which is very nice for us and very nice for the cows as well. Letting the cows out for the spring is about as traditional as you can get in Northern Europe. And La Ferme, which is French for the farm, is a traditional Jersey farm building owned by the Perchard family. The late Anne Perchard was world famous in the world of Jersey cattle. She was also the president of the World Jersey Cattle Bureau. Her farm is now owned by her son, Robert, in partnership with his son, Tom. Robert is the president of the Royal Jersey Agricultural and Horticultural Society, which administers the breed in Jersey. As he's got a successor in Tom coming along, he is unusual for many farmers who, as they approach middle age, realise there's no one to take on the business for him. So all being well, there'll be Perchards here at La Ferme for many years to come. But is there a future for the dairy industry in Jersey? Recent news shows that 4 dairy farmers are giving up. What does that mean for the stability of the industry in the future? So who better to answer that question than Robert Perchard? As a child, I remember some tiny herds with cows seemed to be visible everywhere in the island. And in winter especially, they wore sacking round themselves, and some were still tethered out in the fields in the historic way. All that has gone now, hasn't it?
Certainly the tethering has gone. Farmers are not allowed to do that, and besides it's too inefficient. The number of herds is drastically reduced, but that's a worldwide issue. I mean, for example, in 1950, after World War II, the first agricultural census showed 1,000 herds with 5 cows on average in each, and now we're around the 20 herd mark. So it's been a decline ever since.
And I happened to return to Jersey after spending many years away in the early 1990s. There were still many more dairy farmers then than there are now.
Certainly, yes. I think in 1983, when farmers were obliged to change from putting their milk in churns and going for bulk tanks, there were 180 herds. And in that year, I think resistance to having to invest in bulk tanks, 1/3 of the producers left the industry. So the 120 after that. And in 2003, there were 47 herds.
Yes. And there was a great exodus from the island in about 2003, if I remember.
There were 2 managed exits, reductions, yes, because partly because the island had grown its production to meet a demand it created for mini pots. And then when they lost that business, there was massive oversupply. So there was a managed exit. The year 2000 was the first one, and 2007 was a second managed exit. Since then, there have been retirements, of course, and a lot of these herds have been absorbed into other breeders' herds.
So how many dairy farmers are there now?
I think it's just under 20 now, all of which supply the Jersey Milk Marketing Board, bar one who's an independent.
Yeah.
But there are 4 who've announced that they will be retiring. This exit has been known about by Jersey Dairy, and it's these are people who are retiring, and so they've given good notice. And in fact, the potential of the cattle now is to produce more milk is so high that there's no real concerns at the moment about the production side of things. The industry will ably make up the production from other herds who will acquire the quota.
Yeah. How many cows do you own personally?
About 260 milking cows plus young stock.
And has that increased over the years?
It's kept roughly level for a number of years, but as I said before, the importation of international genetics from 2008 has meant that the cattle are more productive, and so our production has gone up as a herd.
Yes.
But this has been matched, fortunately, by extra market sales and quota. So in that way, we haven't needed to expand numbers.
Yeah. So really, the number of cows in the island has not decreased as much as the number of dairy farmers, just that herds are getting larger.
Absolutely, yes. It's a structural change which is happening everywhere.
Yes.
And, you know, we think that perhaps herds are big on the island now, but in countries like New Zealand, the average can be 250 cows per, you know, easily, plus average, much larger than elsewhere.
So, looking ahead, how do you see the future of dairy farming in Jersey now?
That's an interesting one. We obviously rely heavily on the support of our customers who will recognise the value of Jersey milk and are prepared to pay that little, well, premium perhaps, but the costs are high producing milk. So although perhaps the milk might seem expensive, it needs to be that level for farmers to make a living. So given that support, which is much appreciated, and also the government supporting the industry in the sense that it does. One would hope that there is a reasonably assured future for those that stay in.
What about Brexit? Does that have any particular relevance to the dairy industry?
The negotiations are happening at the moment, and the one possible cloud on the horizon would be if milk imports were to flood into Jersey, for example, a cheaper option. But that's probably unlikely. And given the support I mentioned, it shouldn't happen.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.